My name is Tony Iniguez. I am a wheelchair racer. I race for Mary Joy Rehab, and I'll be participating in the Paralympics in Beijing for the U.S. team. I'm going to participate in the 800 meter, the 1500 meter, and the 5000 meter event.
Since 1960, when the first Paralympic Games were held in Rome, they have usually followed the Olympics in parallel, in the same city and venues. Starting September 6th, more than 200 U.S. athletes will compete in 18 sports during the 2008 Paralympic Games in Beijing. Tony Iniguez is one of those athletes, but he is not only competing for his country, he is suing it.
Currently, myself and two other athletes, Scott Hollenbeck and Jacob Havel, have filed a lawsuit against the USOC. We believe that the USOC should be doing more to support the Paralympic movement and the U.S. Paralympic athletes, and we believe that there should be parity.
The lawsuit, currently under appeal to the Supreme Court, alleges that the U.S. Olympic Committee treats Paralympic athletes different than Olympic athletes when it comes to funding and access to training facilities.
We train as hard. We compete against the world's best, just like any Olympic athlete, and we should have access to the same venues and training facilities and monetary compensation that Olympic athletes receive.
Working out here in the basement in the winter is pretty tough. It's dark outside, there's very little light coming in through that window, it's cold.
By congressional mandate, the United States Olympic Committee oversees both the Olympics and the Paralympic Games. But when it comes to certain benefits, Paralympians typically receive significantly less than their Olympic brethren.
One real obvious example would be the money that athletes receive for Olympic medals versus Paralympic medals. If I'm not mistaken, I believe an Olympic athlete can receive up to $25,000 for an Olympic medal, and a Paralympic athlete will only receive $5,000 for Paralympic gold. And that's a big discrepancy. It's a little bit insulting.
For Tony Iniguez, who competed in the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, this is a deeply personal issue.
In 2000, I was nominated to the Paralympic team to participate in Sydney, Australia. I had run some fast times. I felt like I was probably in the best shape that I'd been up to that point. Unfortunately, because of responsibilities at home, my wife was in medical school. We had one young child, and there wasn't a lot of support from the USOC or USPC in terms of health care, stipends available to kind of help defer the cost of leaving my job. I wasn't able to participate in those games. It was a very tough moment for me, a little bit of depression and kind of stopped racing a little bit.
The USOC says that support for Paralympic athletes has grown $8 million over the last 4 years. Daryl Seibel, the USOC's chief communications officer, states, "We're much closer to the beginning of our support and involvement in the Paralympic movement than we are to being a finished product."
Just write it in your journal because you haven't done that in a while.
For Tony, whose wife now works, things have improved. Since making the Paralympic team in June, he is eligible for health benefits and received a $2,000 stipend.
$2,000 I think it's a wonderful start, but $2,000 does not even cover the cost of a racing chair. With the rising fuel costs, it's getting harder and harder to travel to and from events, and equipment. One tire can run you upwards of $100, and so it's a great start, but it doesn't fix everything.
Tony trains twice a day, with a summer off from his job as a high school art teacher.
With talking about some of the principles of design, and one of the
though today he preps the substitute teacher who will take over for him while he is in Beijing.
All right, so that's pretty straightforward.
This actually gives you finger coordination.
Right. I don't need that. I got polio at the age of 2. My family and I lived in Mexico City. My family never treated me differently. I was blessed to have a family that was always very supportive. My mom and dad, they expected of me the same as they did my brother and my sister. It's about how you carry yourself and just as a human being. For me, I think athletics and sports has been an opportunity for people to really understand and appreciate some of the things that I'm good at without necessarily focusing on the disability. We're filing this lawsuit because we want our country to provide and the USOC to provide better opportunities for young athletes and for up-and-coming athletes to really bring home those medals. I don't feel awkward. I don't feel weird about it. You know, I'm really focusing on training and I'm focusing on representing the country. You know, I don't believe that the lawsuit is going to have any bearing on how well I do at the Paralympic Games.